everyone, I am Chanel Andrea Bolaron. In this video, we are going to familiarize ourselves with the basic functions of major components of polygraph machines and make an improvised polygraph machine by using indigenous materials. Also, make an documentation of this activity.
Okay, so these are the materials.
Prepare at least 2 pieces of 12 inches PVC electrical corrugated tube used as improvised pneumograph.
2 pieces of crocodile type clip used as finger electrons. White piece of cartolina. 8 pieces of rope or tie box 1 meter in size. 1 piece of empty box similar to laptop 4x12 in size. Piece of 4x12 inches textile or tela to be used as improvised arm cuff. And 1 rubberized ball, small size to be used as improvised pump bulb. 3 pieces of solid metal or nails 4 inches in size. Piece of push pin and 1 piece pentel pen.
The procedure. Step 1. Cover the empty box using the cartolina. Step 2. Draw the 4 tracing pen and the Spigmo manometer on the cover.
Next is tie or knot the 2 pieces of tie box on beaded form, then tie the nail at the tip of the tie box.
Next is connect the other portion of the tip of the tie box to the corrugated PVC tube.
Next is make a small hole in the crocodile clip. Cut the tip of the tie box. To make it split, insert the tip of the split cord or rope into the hole of the clip and tie the nail to the other portion of the tip of the cord.
Next is sew the upper part tip of the cord to the improvised arm cuff. Then attach the lower tip of the cord to the rubber ball, lock it using the push pin. Discuss the functions of improvised major parts of polygraph before we attaching it to the improvised portable polygraph machine.
Straight to the components of polygraph. So first is the pneumograph. So this is our improvised pneumograph corrugated tube. So this is a device for recording the velocity, force of chest movement during expiration. The pneumograph is made of 2 units. So we have pneumograph 1 and pneumograph 2. So pneumograph 1 is simply measured the attached to the subject. And the function of this is to record the changes of the subject heartbeat. So, I will attach it here. Remember, if your subject is man, this will be attached to the thoracic. This is pneumograph 2. So, the pneumograph 2 is attached to the abdomen of the subject. So, the function of this is to record the breathing of the subject. Next is the cardio-spinograph component. So, this is simply attached to the right arm or the left arm of the subject. So we are going to demonstrate it. Okay, so this is our improvised improvised pump valve. So the purpose of this is to supply the air of the arm cap through pumping. So we're going to do it here. Like this. Next are the galvanograph components. So this component is composed of 2 finger electrodes. So this is our improvised finger electrodes. So this is simply attached to the index finger and the ring finger, either the left or the right hand. So the function of this is to record the skin resistance of the subject with a little amount of electricity. So now we are going to attach it here. The ring finger and the index finger. So let's proceed the polygraph charge.
The first illustration is what we call respiratory rate. The second one is what we call the electrodermal activity. The third one is what we call the blood pressure or heart rate. And that's it. And we're done for activity 1. And those are the basic components of polygraph. Discussion and recommendation. Discuss the things that you have experienced during the experiment or activity. The things that I have experienced during my experiment or activity, at first I was confused on how does it apply the subject and what are the uses of every components. Do you think that this activity is considerable to the academe, particular in this present pandemic situation? Yes, it is considerable to our academic. That is why we made this activity for us to learn how it applies to the subject and the functions of the polygraph. Even though we face a pandemic situation today, it is not our excuse to be unable to learn. We need to discipline ourselves. That is our new normal situation. No one will guide us, no one will teach us but ourselves. So it is a self-learning activity.
Number 3. In this activity can be applied the time that we will go back in a normal life? Yes, it can be applied when the time goes back to a normal life because I've already learned the basic components of the polygraph machine and the functions of every components of the polygraph machine. When the time goes back to a normal life, it is easy for me to apply or to demonstrate it.
Okay, so let's continue the activity number 2. On our previous activity, we made a polygraph machine using the indigenous materials. Also, we discussed about the function of the major components of polygraph machine. We demonstrate also on how to attach the improvised polygraph instrument. So, for today's video or activity, we are going to discuss the preparation for the subject prior to the test, also inciting the Republic Act 7438. And we are going to have our simulation on a polygraph machine. So, keep on watching!
Preparation of the subject prior to the test. One of the important things to be observed in any investigation or interrogation, the law enforcement officer shall follow the basic procedure in polygraph examination. The examiner should be observed the following before he or she conducted the test. Number 1. Appraisal of the basic constitutional rights of the person. Number 2. Obtain from the subject a consent before undergo polygraph test. Number 3. Taking personal data of the subject, evaluating the psychological preparation. Number 4. Determine the suitability of the subject prior to the test and inform the subject of his involvement with the case. State the constitutional right to the subject, which is the Republic Act number 7438 or Act defining certain rights of a person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation. Particularly in Section 2, Paragraph A states that any person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation shall at all times be assisted by counsel. Also, the Paragraph T. Any extrajudicial confession made by a person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation shall be in writing and signed by the such person in the presence of his counsel, or in the latter's absence upon the valid waiver, and in the presence of any of the parents, older brother and sisters, his spouse, the municipality mayor, the municipality judge, district school supervisor, or priest or minister of the gospel as chosen by him. Otherwise, such extrajudicial confession shall be inadmissible as evidence in any proceeding. Obtain from the subject a consent before undergo polygraph test.
I am Chanel Andrea L. Bularon, your polygraph examiner. Before we start, I would like to inform you your constitutional right to have to remain silent. Anything you can say be used against you. You also have right to have a competence counsel preparable in your own choice. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. Ma'am Beverly, sign this consent form to confirm that you submit yourself in this polygraph.
Attachment and function of the major components.
So now we are going to attach our pneumograph. So first is there will be 2 units. We have the pneumograph 1 and the pneumograph 2. So the pneumograph 1 or a chest assembly or set is simply attached to the upper thoracic because our subject is women. So should be attached the upper thoracic. Remember, for men, this will be attached to the thoracic. So the function of this pneumograph 1 is to record the changes of the subject heartbeat. So we are done for the pneumograph 1. Next, our pneumograph 2. Pneumograph 2 is attached to the abdomen of the subject. The function of this is to record the breathing of the subject. Next one, after we attach the pneumograph, so we are going to attach the finger electrons or improvised finger electrons. Remember, the function of the finger electrons is to measure the skin resistance or sweat activity of the subject. So we attach this one is simply attached to the index finger and the ring finger. So we attach this to her index finger and the ring finger. So next one is the cardiospimograph component. So the function of this cardiospimograph component is to measure the cardiovascular activity of the subject. So attach this one, simply wrap around the arm of the subject, either the left arm or the right arm. So now we are going to ask certain questions to our subject. Are you Beverly Dawang?
Yes.
Is today is Wednesday?
Yes.
Are you right-handed?
Yes.
Are you 27 years old?
Yes.
Since the age of 18, have you committed any theft?
No.
Since the age of 18, have you been convicted of a crime?
No.
Have you ever stolen 5,000 since last 10 years?
No.
On the last 10 years, have you steal any money from your previous employer?
No.
On the last 10 years, have you steal any money from your coworker?
No.
Did you take a money and left the counter?
No.
On December 20, 2017, at his office, have you steal a money?
No.
Have you ever stolen anything in your life?
Yes.
Have you ever betrayed anyone who trusted you?
Yes.
Have you ever stolen money from your employer?
Yes.
Do you regard yourself as an honest person?
No.
For the closing question, have you answered the question during the process truthfully?
Yes.
And now, we are done.
Discussion and recommendation. Discuss the things that you have experienced during the experiment or activity. On this activity, I've experienced how to conduct a simulation test to the subject. Also, I've learned to attach the polygraph instrument to the actual subject. I also did a part of the examiner, which is to prepare the subject prior to the test, like appraisal of the basic constitutional rights of the subject and obtain consent from the subject to avoid future harassment made by him or her. Do you think that this activity is considerable to the academe, particularly in the present pandemic situation? I think this activity is significant to the academe, particularly in this present pandemic situation, because it is now part of our new normal and it is also a better alternative way to continue our learning even if we are only in our home. Number 3. After doing this simulation in your homes, do you think that you can perform a mock polygraph test when if and only if we go back to our normal setup face-to-face classes? After doing this simulation test in our home, I will think that I can have knowledge. I can say improvised and the actual is having different experience because some of the processes, like an in conduct of the pre-test interview, I haven't applied the time interval for pre-test interview, which usually ranges from 20 to 30 minutes. So still, it is best to experience the actual polygraph test examination.